Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla News, episode 294. Tesla China had a very good week last week and is even closing the gap to last year's numbers. And Bloomberg calls US federal subsidies for the fossil fuel industry just stupid. And Tesla was granted and published the patent about their Unbox production method. And Herbert Diess is again out telling the German automakers that they need to stop wasting time and charge forward toward the EV future. And the trouble for the legacy automakers continues as Stellantis has halted production in 6 plants in Europe. And Honda has cancelled all its US production of its next generation EV. And more automotive executives are out giving Elon Musk the respect he deserves. And Tesla's full self-driving version 14 should be released next week. All of this and much more in today's episode. Start right in.
Let's put our living stereo stylus in this groove.
Tesla China had a very good week last week in sales numbers and is even closing the gap to last year's numbers. Sales in China for last week came in and they were very good, as Roland reported. In China, 17,300 Teslas insured registrations were reported for the week of September the 15th to the 21st. So that is very nice. As you can also see here on Roland's chart, last week did not go down as it did last year in Q3, but continued upwards. So that is nice to see. And instead of being down about 7% year to date, Tesla is now only down 5.9%, so gaining on last year's numbers. So with a good Q4, we might even catch up to last year's numbers in China or get very close. That would be an amazing achievement if Tesla does that, because they shut down the whole production line of the Model Y that stands for 65% of Tesla sales, and the fastest to ramp up production again was the Shanghai factory, which did it in 6 weeks. But that is also 6 weeks where Tesla did not get any Model Ys from the factory to its customers. And on a global scale, Tesla lost about 72,000 units in production in the first 6 months of the year and lost about 109,000 units in sales in the same period because of this. So if Tesla China can manage to not even have lost any sales at all when the year is over, that would be an amazing feat. But Tesla did not get the Model Y L ramp up more in week 3 of production and delivery, as they only sold about 850 units. So it seems like a very slow ramp, or maybe demand is not as strong as we got told from China. So we will have to wait a bit longer to see if the Model Y will become the success that I thought it would be, as I think it's a very nice car that I personally really want, but the Model Y in general is still killing it in China, being one of the best-selling car models overall. But Hensi here wrote to AJ, Tesla's got the magic touch in China. Ever wondered what's driving the buzz? And AJ replied, given how long the trend has continued and by how much the Model Y outsold all other vehicles, it must come down to superior customer satisfaction. Either the Model Y is just too good or something must be wrong with all the competitors. I refuse to believe that all Chinese brands try to F their Chinese customers over. This leaves then only one conclusion. Model Y is simply better, or at least to most people. Yes, Tesla makes very good EVs all around, but Tesla also has a very good reputation in China, as the EVs just works with great software, full self-driving features, and best safety in any car and great performance for a very good price for what you get. So there is a reason why the Tesla Model Y continues to be absolutely dominating in every market, not just in China, even though sales are down. Yes, we know. But the Model Y was the best-selling electric SUV in China last week again, and was also in August. So probably also year to date, but I have not found any data on that just yet. And have you ever wondered what is really out there on the internet about you? Like really out there? It is wild because after I learned about Incogni, the sponsor of this video, and have been using their service, I found out that even though I typically use VPNs and other privacy services to stay safe online, Incogni has found my data at 118 brokers. Now that is scary, but thanks to Incogni they have removed my data from 117 and only have one left in progress. So if you are not trying to protect your online privacy as I do, just imagine how many data brokers have your data. This is something that I personally think everyone should do, because just think of all that personal gold in the hands of identity thieves. They could open loans or worse in your name. And how do they get it? From these data brokers. They are like the black market of personal information, but you don't have to let them keep that power over you. Incogni do the heavy lifting for you. They are like your digital bodyguard. They'll find where your data is being sold and they tell those data brokers hands off. So this is really something all of you watching should do. So click that link down below. You will not only support this channel and take back your privacy, you will get a massive 60% off with the code BESTINTESLA. It is a no-brainer for your online privacy, right? So if you are tired of being an open book in the digital world, click that link, use that code BESTINTESLA, and let's lock down your privacy together. Trust me, your future self will thank you. And we hear a lot about how EVs got too many incentives and subsidies, but these people saying that seems to forget that the fossil fuel industries are subsidized much higher, and this seems to be spinning out of control. A recent Bloomberg opinion piece republished on Clean Technica on September the 17th called the US federal subsidies for the fossil fuel industry just stupid, arguing they are economically irrational and environmentally disastrous. Citing a new Oil Change International study, the article reveals that the US government funnels $35 billion annually to oil, gas and coal producers, a figure that has more than doubled from the $14.7 billion in 2017. These handouts prop up an industry that ranked in $102 billion in profit last year among the top 5 oil companies alone, which also returned $349 billion to shareholders through buybacks and dividends. The article criticized these subsidies for ignoring the true societal cost of fossil fuels, including a staggering $7 trillion annual global economic toll from climate change's impact on health and prosperity, as estimated by the International Monetary Fund. Yet recent legislations like the One Big Beautiful Bill add $4 billion annually, or $40 billion over a decade, in new subsidies, including tax credits like the Section 45Q for carbon capture. Bloomberg estimates the Inflation Reduction Act expansion of the 45Q credit could cost taxpayers $100 billion, while the Industry for Energy Economics and Financial Analysis projects a potential $1.1 trillion to $3.8 trillion burden by 2050 if these programs remains uncapped. These subsidies are not only unnecessary for a cash-flush industry, but also counterproductive, encouraging the expansion of polluting energy sources when clean energy investment is critical to combat climate change. The article argues that propping up fossil fuel delays the transition to renewable and burden taxpayers with costs that could balloon into trillions. It calls for ending these self-destructive incentives, arguing policymakers to redirect funds toward sustainable energy solution that aligns with global net zero goals and protect both the economy and the planet. And Tesla was granted and published the patent of their Unbox production method. Seti Park shared on X that Tesla's A True Unbox Process 2.1 patent was granted and published just 16 months after its initial filing. The system utilized an automated assembly cell with fixtures corresponding to each exterior vehicle part and reference to a global datum for precise alignment. Exterior vehicle parts are secured to fixtures using vacuum clamps or other means, and a structural adhesive is applied to either the part or a part receiving location on the vehicle assembly structure. The parts are then moved into their nominal position relative to the global datum, thereby compressing the adhesive and completing the installation. The method improves assembly efficiency by compensating for substructure irregularities with an engineered adhesive gap and allows for continued assembly during adhesive curing through tacking operation. This technology streamlines the vehicle assembly process, enhance quality, and increase production rate by reducing manual labor and potential for error. The first vehicle to take advantage of this is, of course, the Cybercab that will start production next year. I don't think people understand the magnitude of this Unbox production method that Tesla is working on that will be producing the Cybercab in 2026. Remember, Toyota will try to copy Tesla's old production method of gigacasting and structural battery packs and so on, but that will not be ready before 2027 at the earliest. But at that point, Tesla has been using their Unbox production method for at least a year, changing the game completely again. This is actually something that I am most excited about to learn more about from Tesla, because this is such a game changer in the industry that I think it's going to be very hard to copy. So I hope Tesla will maybe share a bit more at the shareholder meeting on the 6th of November. They can, of course, not share all the details, but some details on how this is going to work overall, and maybe a few videos of the production line would be great. But Tesla will probably be very secretive about this, so let's see how much they are willing to share. But as Nick also wrote, Elon Musk says the Cybercab will be 6 to 7 times faster to produce than the Model Y at Giga Shanghai, where a vehicle is being built every 33 seconds. The goal is to build a Cybercab every 5 seconds. The Unbox process, as outlined below, is the ticket to that. Yes, indeed. So very exciting to see Tesla get the grant for this patent. So let the next step of the car's manufacturing evolution begin. And Herbert Diess is once again out telling the German automakers that they need to stop wasting time and charge forward towards the EV future. Stecker Auto shared this article about an opinion piece by Herbert Diess in Wirtschaftswoche. Germany's auto industry at a crossroad. Slowing down only helps China. The renewed debate on the 2035 internal combustion engine ban is a distraction from the more critical task of making the European auto industry globally competitive against China. China's success is due to its consistent focus on the future of automotive technology, which is electrification. Oh yes. Germany's past political indications include a lack of clear policy on charging infrastructure, and subsidies has hindered its own industry progress. The German auto industry, particularly with companies like Volkswagen, is now demonstrating a strong ability to compete in electric vehicle sector and should not be encouraged to slow down. I personally don't see why Volkswagen in particular is showing this, but probably just because Herbert is its former CEO. But anyway, delaying the transition will primarily benefit new, non-legacy competitors as it frees them from having to deal with old technologies while solidifying their lead in new ones. The opinion piece argues that the ongoing debate in Germany about reversing the 2035 ban on internal combustion engine is a strategic misstep that will ultimately harm the German automotive industry. It contends that the discussion diverts attention from the real challenge, competing with a global dominant China, which has built a powerful automotive cluster by consistently and aggressively promoting electrification. just like Herbert tried to do with Volkswagen. And the author here, Herbert Diess, points out that German political inconsistency, such as fluctuating subsidies and a lack of focus on charging infrastructure, has already created uncertainty and slowed the transition. He emphasized that German manufacturers, despite these challenges, have finally begun to gain momentum and demonstrate their ability to compete in the EV market. Diess argues that instead of reversing to old technologies, Germany should double down on its strength, such as brand power and customer service network, and accelerate the transition to secure its future leadership. He warns that any delay will only benefit new competitors by allowing them to further cement their lead in the new technologies like batteries and electronic architecture. So funny to hear him say that German strength is not their cars or powertrain or manufacturing, but brand and customer service. That is what they have left. And when you then see BMW making the new X5 in 5 different powertrains at the same time they are lobbying against the ban of ICE cars in 2035, it clearly shows what Herbert is talking about. Lack of focus on the future, that is EVs, not 5 different powertrains, complicating things more and making everything more inefficient and costly. They should listen to Herbert and get their act together and run for the future, or they will not be part of it. And let's squeeze in the last short news topics into this news show. Yes, it's time for the Tesla Shorts. The trouble for the legacy automakers continues as Stellantis halt production in 6 plants in Europe. Due to declining sales figures, the Stellantis car group is shutting down work in several European plants. Location in France, Germany, Italy, Poland, Spain are affected. The reasons are difficult market condition and full warehouses. The breaks will last between 5 and 14 days depending on the location. The group is struggling with sales problem, competition from China, and consequence of the US custom policy. But AJ add a bit of salt to the wound as he wrote. Stellantis reported a $3.2 billion loss in the first half of 2025, following a $6.1 billion loss in the second half of 2024. That amounts to a staggering $9.4 billion loss over the past 12 months. These are not just accounting entries. This is cash outflow or heavy cash burn, making Stellantis the world's most loss-making automaker by a wide margin. Ironically, Stellantis was the second most cash-generative automaker in 2023. Yeah, this is not looking good. I just can't see how Stellantis is going to turn this sinking ship around. And another legacy automaker that is backtracking on EV plans is Honda. Honda has cancelled all the US production of its Acura ZDX EV, citing market condition for EVs. Production of the vehicle for the 2026 model year was slated to begin this month at GM's Spring Hill assembly plant in Tennessee. However, Honda has decided to cancel all future production. So it seems like on a weekly basis, I report on legacy automakers backtracking on EV ambitions. And we also have Bentley coming out saying it will focus on combustion engines, as Bentley originally wanted to convert its entire model range to electric drive by 2030. This goal was already postponed by 5 years last year. Now it would refocus on combustion engines. So, sound like Bentley will just ride its ICE cars into the sunset and not be part of the future car market. And we have more automotive executives that are giving Elon Musk the credit he deserves. As we heard last week from Michael Dunn, that had heard Honda's CEO that was saying that Elon Musk was the most influential person in the automotive history. And this week we have Hyundai Motor Group's executive chair that had this to say about Elon Musk. Someone had asked earlier who I really respect in the industry, and my answer is Elon Musk. Without him, our industry, including Hyundai, would never change, maybe. The software-defined vehicle concept and the EV concept, he really pushed and accelerated that. I think he's really remarkable for doing that. Nice to hear the automotive executive giving Elon Musk the credit he deserved. Funny how no one is mentioning Mary Barra. Must clearly be a mistake, right? But he was not the only one praising Elon Musk or Tesla. Xiaomi's CEO Li Jun said in an annual speech, "We bought 3 Tesla Model Ys for disassembly and research inside Xiaomi earlier this year. What a great vehicle. If you don't like Xiaomi's YU7, you can choose Model Y." Great praises from the Chinese competition. And again, why didn't Xiaomi buy any of GM's vehicles to see how they build their electric vehicles? Because Mary led, and it mattered. And Lucid has introduced an robotaxi engineering fleet. Lucid has delivered its first Uber-exclusive robotaxi engineering vehicle to Nuro for integration with the Nuro Drive. This marks the beginning of an exciting new chapter. But this is just such an expensive way of doing it that I have a hard time seeing how this will fly, with Tesla in the picture. As Facade also wrote, 3 companies solving for autonomy: Uber, Lucid, Nuro, versus 1. Lucid makes about 10,000 cars per year, could be 20,000 with the launch of the new SUV, which looks awesome. They provide the cars. Uber offer the network for people to ride-hail a Lucid. Nuro offer the technology for self-driving with a fraction of the percent of miles that Tesla has. Tesla does all 3, with 2 million plus capacity. With production here he's talking about, with the most autonomous miles by far at the lowest cost by far as well. Yes, they could probably solve autonomy, but with 3 parties having to earn money on this venture, and one of them already losing $250,000 on every EV they sell, I really find it hard to see how this will ever be able to compete against something like Tesla's robotaxis. And Joe shared some picture of the new delivery center at the Giga Texas factory with the mini track with mini Cybertrucks for the kids to try out. Very cool. And Elon clarified on X why getting the pay package is important. It's not about compensation, but about me having enough influence over Tesla to ensure safety if we build millions of robots. If I can just get kicked out in the future by activist shareholders, advisory firms that do not even own Tesla shares themselves, I'm not comfortable with that future. Yes, CEOs getting kicked out have been seen before, like with Steve Jobs that got kicked out of Apple in 1985 for Apple to be run into the ground, and only been weeks from dying in 1997 when Steve Jobs came back and saved Apple. So the risk is very much real, but what Elon is building is way more important than what Apple built. And Google admits censorship under Biden and promises to end bans on YouTube accounts for thousands of Americans censored for political speech. Nice to see the freedom of speech is spreading. And Jonathan posted this nice chart and wrote, "The speed of Tesla's robotaxi expansion fascinates me. I'm not sure anyone is tracking the progress of all 18 cities in one place, so I compiled a chart this week in a fit of OCD. It's very cool to see all the places that Tesla is working on getting robotaxi permission in the US alone on one chart. Tesla is not sitting around doing nothing. They are trying to get permits all over the place. Slow at first, then all at once." And Michael Dawn shared this post about Chinese crazy growth numbers. As he wrote, China's scale is something you have to experience in person to really feel or comprehend. The numbers are so wild it causes us to have doubts until we see things firsthand. China manufactures 1/3 of the world's product, more than the US, Korea, Japan, and Germany combined. China has enough capacity to supply half the world's demand for vehicles. Half. China is home to 108 different car brands. BYD now owns 9 Ro-Ro ships, enough to ship 1 million cars a year. Like I said, the numbers can overwhelm the brain. Yes, indeed. And Rivian finally came out with their Power Tonic cover, like the one the Cybertruck has, that Rivian first revealed back in 2021. But nice to finally see it here, as this is such a nice feature. And Tesla Charging shared the first highway sign for supercharger, more to come. And Max also tuned in and wrote, 99.98% plus of road trips are already possible in the US in a Tesla. Tesla drivers know this through their vehicle's touchscreen, but too many people have no clue. The first state-owned highway signs showed Tesla superchargers are now going live. We plan on rolling this out more broadly. Hopefully this will help with turning any range anxiety into range confidence for the general public. Nice, this will be a good advertising for all the people that driving a non-Tesla EV, so Tesla can show just how big and extensive their charging network really is. And Elon wrote, version 14 goes into early wide release next week, then 14.1 about 2 weeks later, and finally 14.2. The car will feel almost like it is sentient by 14.2. Nice. Next week seems like it would be a special one. And Waymo has introduced Waymo for Business. After conducting successful pilot with a variety of organizations, we are ready to partner with more employees, universities, and event organizers to help streamline their transportation needs. Very nice. And Teslarati posted this about Elon Musk sock stickers you can buy to put on your Tesla. Truly, I didn't think this would be such a polarizing take. People who put those bumper stickers on their cars care too much about what other people think and not enough about the fact that they are driving perhaps the best vehicle available on the road right now. And the safest for you and your family, I might just add. And Chan also reported that Japan's NHK News arrayed image of Tesla's supervised full self-driving in testing. Full self-driving global expansion is a reality. Oh yes, just waiting for the EU to get their butt off the ground so Europe doesn't get left completely behind in the dust. And I am going on a 2-month holiday with my family traveling around Asia from Wednesday next week. So for the next 2 months, things will be a little bit different here on Best in Tesla. I will, of course, try to keep the news show going every Sunday as always and have some videos coming your way now and then. But I will not be able to have the same amount of videos coming out over the next couple of months, as I am on an adventure with my 2 boys and my wife. So hope you will bear with me over October and November, and I will be back full steam and with new energy in December. So the next Sunday news show will be coming to you from Vietnam. And before we end off with a bit of fun, I just want to make a quick shout out to my newest supporters of this channel. My new YouTube members, TC, PG Skretting, Dave Koslowski, Joseph Seda, and Senya Veka. And my new Patreon producer, Jeffrey Speak. Thank you so much for all your support. I am doing this all by myself, but you guys are all the producers of this show. Thank you. And let's end off with a bit of fun. And with the rise in Tesla stock, we have got some videos of Tesla Qs desperately trying to fight back. That is all we have time for in this news show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button. It really does help this video out a lot so others can find it on YouTube. And if you did like it, maybe you want to consider hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, so you don't miss out on future videos just like this one. And if you're already a subscriber to the channel, thank you so much for the support. But if you want to support the channel even more, remember you can, for as little as $1, become a patron of this channel or become a member of the YouTube channel to get a shout out as some extra perks like early access, ad-free versions of my videos, exclusive videos. So hit the members button or check out Patreon to find out more. And don't forget to follow me on X. I post pretty much all the news as it comes out and a lot more. And check out the merch store to get some merchandise and support the show. It is also possible to support the show without becoming a member or a patron. There is a donation option down below or on my website bestintesla.com. You can also become an executive producer and get news articles, exclusive videos, behind the scenes, and access to all my research charts and spreadsheets also on bestintesla.com, or as simple as hitting the super like button. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.